Would you believe me if I told you you can make TTRPG maps like this without any art skills, map making skills, or level design skills? Well, it's true. There's a tool for it. It's called Dungeon Alchemist. Hi, my name is Fondue. I run this little channel called Dice and Easy, where I give you Foundry VTT tutorials, TTRPG discussions, tips and tricks, and daily TTRPG memes. So if that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button down there and the bell icon to get notified when I post new videos. So the map I just showed you, I made myself in Dungeon Alchemist in less than an hour. I actually timed it, and I don't have any art background or map making background or level design background. I'm none of those things. I'm not artistically very skilled. It's not something I've practiced. I was able to make this, and it looks fairly nice in my opinion for something made so quickly. Actually, I had a blast making the map. So I thought, what if I show you how Dungeon Alchemist works and how easily you can make nice looking maps with 3D art using it? That'd be pretty cool, right? So yeah, Dungeon Alchemist is an AI-based map making tool that automatically populates rooms with objects, lights, doors, etc. based on how big of a room you draw and what theme you choose for it. I'm going to jump into the specifics of that in a little bit, but the software is available on Steam currently. It's on Steam Early Access, so it's still in development. It's not a finalized product, and it costs 38 euros. That will be whatever it is in your local currency. And a link to their Steam page in the description box. But with that out of the way, let's actually jump into Dungeon Alchemist, and I will show you how it works and how you can make cool stuff with it. So let's jump into it, shall we? So here we are inside Dungeon Alchemist. As you can see, there's a little meadow drawn here. This is the default scenario that you start with when you open the software. You can see a little grid over here, and as my mouse is hovering over, it has these grids selected. So the software is very simple in my opinion. It is very handy to use. It provides you with a lot of power very easily. So over on the left hand side here, let me zoom in, you can see that I have currently the draw room section chosen, and then the first tab over here chosen. And from here, you can select what type of theme you want to make. Currently, they have abandoned ruins, alchemist's laboratory, castle, crypt, desert, mansion, special, which I think includes the ice palace and the gingerbread house, tavern, and village. So I used the crypt to make the map that I show you in the front, but let's make a little mansion, for example. So when you open one of the themes, it's also going to have subcategories. So within the mansion, you have the mansion bathroom, mansion bedroom master, mansion bedroom servant, mansion cellar, mansion dining room, mansion great hall, mansion hallway, mansion kitchen, mansion lavatory, mansion living room, mansion pantry, and mansion study. So depending on which of these you select, it's going to populate the room differently. Let's select a living room, for example. So let's say I want to make a mansion living room for starters. So you click and drag with the left mouse button. You can choose the size that you want. It's very, very easy to use. So let's say I want to make it 6 by 6. Let's make it nice and square. If you want to remove anything, you can just hold Control and then left click to remove anything. And if you want to add anything, you just left click. So if I wanted to add a little intrusion over here, I could, but I don't want to do that now. So let's remove them. And then once you are happy with your selection, go ahead and hit this mark here. It's going to think for a little bit, and boom, now we have a mansion living room. You can see a door over here. You can see all kinds of stuff. Let's actually look in a little deeper on what we have in there. I'm going to zoom in. Over here, we've got a piano. We have a table. We have what looks to be some kind of cupboard over there. We have a big globe thing. We have a painting over here. So you can see it is so nicely populated with all kinds of stuff. This already feels like a map that I could use. Of course, you might want to tweak stuff, but we'll go into tweaking stuff in just a second. Now, for the basic movement stuff, you saw me moving and zooming and whatnot. So scroll wheel, of course, on your mouse is going to zoom. If you click and hold your scroll wheel, that will be, you can pan your camera around. If you just want to move your camera, that is holding the right click and then moving around, or you can use WASD to move around. And if you want to quickly change your perspective, you can go to the top right-hand corner, click it, and it changes first, I believe, to orthographic, then to orthographic with 3D elements, and then back to this perspective view. So this is how you add a room here. So now we could, for example, say, okay, well, from this living room, since there's a door over here, there's going to be a little hallway that goes over here. It will automatically add more map there, so don't worry. There's a little hallway, another hallway over here that we can add. You can see that it has added doors and doorways there, windows, candles. Like, how nice is that? Now, let's say we want to have a study, so we're going to choose the study from the mansion study part over here. Let's make it 3x5, so it is going to automatically connect it. Now we have a little study over here. There's a door over there, and then let's add a bedroom over here. Bedroom master. So we can add that. Am I getting that right? Yes. Master bedroom. Let's make it 8x3. It's a little bit of a weird shape. Doesn't matter. We have a master bedroom. All right, there we go. I think the only thing that we're kind of missing is a foyer, but that's fine. So here we have now a house of sorts. It's a little bit weird. I just did this quickly without really thinking about the layout. But we already have a nice looking map here now, which is pretty sweet, I gotta say. But let's say that you're not happy with the shape of this room, for example. Let's say you're like, it's too big, or the shape of this room over here. Like, let's say it's too long, you want to make it more square-like to have it more consistent with the whole house. Okay, we can easily adjust that. We go over up here to this third tab in the draw room part, which is edit room. Now, you might not have a room selected, so you just click on a room and it will select it. You can see these little things come over here. You can edit the room that way. So there's an option to regenerate the room. If you click this little icon over here or the same icon over here, you can regenerate what's in the room. If you don't like the layout of the room or you don't like what's in the room, you can ask it to regenerate and it will do so a few times. And you can say like, okay, I'm happy with this. I can start working from here. Also, I was talking about the shape earlier. I got a little sidetracked there. Let's say we want to make it more rectangular. Here it has an edit room shape button. So once again, you have this tile selection thing. What we can do is here, draw out this extra area that we want. Let's say we want actually a little bit more there. So now, let me check that it's aligned. It is indeed aligned. So now it's going to ask, are you okay with that? We're going to click yes. It is going to regenerate more of the same room. Now you can see, okay, now the room is a lot bigger. There's more stuff in there. Let's say now want to regenerate it now that we have the new shape. Okay, cool. That looks a little weird there. Let's regenerate that once more. All right, that's looking a little bit better now. A little bit better now, although that painting is a little bit weird, but we can look at that later. Then, of course, if you like some parts of the room, let's say this room over here, let's look at it. Let's say we like the floor and the walls a lot, but we want to change the objects in there. So you can go to this little thing over here, and you can choose what things you want to randomize. So we're going to say we don't want to touch the walls. We don't want to touch the floor. We are going to refresh our room. So now it only changes the objects in there and the lights as well, but it does not change the walls and the floor, which I didn't want changed. So you're like, okay, cool. Now it looks like what I wanted to look. And then of course, if you want to remove rooms wholesale, you can also use this remove room tool and remove parts. So if I wanted to remove that part, boom, it removed it for me. And then you can just press Control Z, of course, to undo what you've done. So I didn't want to do that, but just to show you how that works. So now we have a house, and I've shown you how to make a room, how to edit a room, how to refresh a room. But let's say, okay, now here, for example, we have a door that we don't like. There's a door over here. I don't really want to have it there. It doesn't look good. Well, there's a way to do away with that. On the left-hand side, you have place doors. So here you can find all of the different doors and doorways that they currently have. So I can say, I don't want that door. So I have doors selected. I click on it. You see a few options come over here. You can duplicate it. This plus means duplication. So if I wanted to add another door from across here, I could duplicate it and then put it over here. Now you see a little door appeared over there, but we don't want to do that now. So let's click that again. Other is you can close and open a door if you would like to. And you can flip it if you think it's the wrong way around for your perspective. But we, in this case, want to delete it. So there's a little delete icon here, or you can just press delete on your keyboard and you click that, it's gone, and now there's a wall. Awesome, amazing. And again, if I want to add a door, I can just choose whatever door I want from here. Let's go to a single door. Let's make it a branded door, and put it here, for example. Now you can see there's a door over here, and I can right click to get rid of the selector, and now we have this door over here. Again, I can flip it around if I want. I can open it, whatever I want. Let's zoom out. Right, so that's doors. Then let's talk about the objects within a room. So let's look at this living room, for example. We could have a look and see, what do we like in this room? So what kind of story do we want to tell with the stuff that is in this room? I could say that this piano, for example, doesn't quite fit the room. I could say this is a centerpiece I don't like. It doesn't fit the setting, the story that it's telling, it's not quite what I want. So we're going to go over to the left-hand side and we're going to choose Place Objects. So here are all of the objects within Dungeon Alchemist that you can add here. So right now we're going to click on this object, and you can see again there's some controls that come up. So this little squiggly arrow on the top means that rotation. So it'll allow me to rotate an object. Let's put it back where it was. If I want to move it in set intervals, so I want it to be aligned, I can hold Control and then drag, and you can see it will snap to, I believe, 90-degree angles. So you can more easily make it align to whatever you like. Let's Control Z that again. Also, you can make things smaller or bigger. You can go to any of these corner arrows and you can see the icon changes. And if you click and hold, then you can make stuff bigger or smaller. Of course, because it has collision, it's not going to be able to get bigger than that table next to it. And the same thing with rotation. If there's something in the way, it will not rotate. Right. Then, like I said, I don't like this thing here. I want to get rid of it. Let's click the trash can icon and boom. The piano is now gone. Let's say instead we want a statue over here. So we can go to the Place Objects menu, write Statue, and see what we have here. There's some options here. Let's say we want to put this statue. Let's say. So this statue over here, boom, it is now set there. I mean, it doesn't quite fit, to be honest, but let's say we want to put that. For argument's sake, let's say this is the one that we want here. We could make it bigger if we want, or we could make it smaller if we want. Maybe it's that size, because if it's this big, it's a little bit weird in this house. So let's make it like that big. And now I have a little statue over there, let's say. Not the perfect example, but now we have a little statue, and that's how you can manipulate objects here. Also, similar to doors, windows are also here that you can place. There are different options here. There's rock formations, rock windows, wood windows, so you can place those also along walls in any manner you like. Let's say we want a little window over here. Let's take a cabin window. Boom, now there's a cabin window. It doesn't, of course, fit this aesthetic very well, but if you want to do that, you can do it. Same thing with walls here. You can choose what type of wall it is. It automatically chooses it for the entire room. So if I were to choose oak fence, this whole room would be made of oak fence, which doesn't, of course, make a lot of sense. But let's take stone and broken temple wall, for example. And you can choose outside or inside, as you can see. If I drag the mouse over here, it's outside. Over here, it's inside. Let's choose that. It looks weird, but just to make a point, you can easily change the whole wall structure of a room, similar to doors. Now then, floor tiles, same thing here. You can choose what type of floor you want a room to be by choosing the place floor tiles and then going to whatever it is you want. Let's do artificial, and then you can go one by one changing these, or you can just paint like this and it changes them. So again, very simple. You can change it to your liking. You can also place tokens inside the room. Again, I have to emphasize that this is a map making tool. It is not a VTT, so you can't actually play your games inside Dungeon Alchemist. You can't roll dice, etc. However, if you would like to bring your own Hero Forge minis over here, you can, and there's some standard ones already here that you can place just so you can have a look. And for scale, it can help with scale. You can place them here. Not sure how useful that will be to you, but you can do that. And you can also jump into a first-person view from the perspective of your token, so you can move around, open doors, a little head bob if you so wish. So we can walk around here, look at the little, look at grandfather clock, yeah, cool. So if you want to do that, you can exit by pressing ESC. So you can do that. It's a neat feature there. Then you can also change the lighting scenario. So by default, it's daytime. You can change it to dusk. You can change it to night or sunrise. If you want to go more granular with the changes you want to make, you can click this little icon over here, and there's a bunch of stuff then that you can change here if you so desire. Then you can also mess with the terrain. You can mess with the terrain height or depth, so you can raise terrain. So if you click raise terrain over here in the terrain menu, it gives you this little brush. You can change the brush size and the brush strength from here. And then if I click and drag, you can see it is actually raising this area now here to create a little hill. If I want to lower it, I choose lower, and then I can lower it like that. You can also flatten the terrain, you can smooth the terrain, you can clear the terrain, you can mess with the terrain here a bunch. You can also paint the terrain, so if you want to make it look different, let's say this is lava now. So I can make a little lava trench over here. It doesn't make a lot of sense necessarily, but you can easily paint over stuff to make it look like a certain environment, like that. And lastly, you can also choose the terrain type. So this can be a big thing because, now this mansion is in the grasslands terrain. That might not be what you want. So there are a few options here. Dark parchment just means this dark parchment that you see here over on the side. Let me zoom out. So this dark area, that's the dark parchment. If you don't want any terrain like this, just choose dark parchment and it will get rid of that. Then you have Badlands. I believe I can choose it here. So change terrain. So Badlands, it looks like this. Desert, forest, grasslands we already saw, jungle, and snow. Let me return back to the grasslands where we started. So there we go. So those are the different types of terrains that you have. You can also choose elevation. You can have hills, be flat mountains, floodplains, flood ravine, Grand Canyon, crater. So there's a lot of different types of elevation that you can choose. Let's choose mountains, for example. Of course, this is not going to look very great right now because it's trying to draw the mountains around the structure that I have. So it looks very cramped currently, but you can make different types of terrain here, and you can also choose what type of vegetation would you like to have. No vegetation, meadow, or steppe here in the case of the grasslands. You can also choose water, so if you want your structure to be by a river, by a lake, lakeside, island, etc., you can choose also that. So if I were to choose lake, now it's by a lake, and there's also mountains now here, you can see. Again, it looks very cramped, so you would have to probably mess around with this, but it can be done. And weather, currently the only weather option is snow. It looks like this, so it adds a little snowy layer. I think this could work quite well for mountainous regions. And then very, very lastly, you have effects. Now, these are small effects that you can draw onto the map. So let's zoom into our building over here. Let's say this building that we have has been long forgotten, abandoned. So we could add a wispy white fog that you can choose from here in the effects menu. We are on the fog menu over here. And again, you have the brush size and the brush density. So what I can do is click around here to add this layer of fog. Of course, now the brush is very big, so the drawing is overlapping, but I could make the brush size smaller so I can draw easier here, for example. Nope, can't do there, like there and there. So now you can see that there's a layer of fog in this room that makes it look like it's long abandoned. There's also, of course, other options. Let me just clear that up. There's green swirling mist, so maybe you're in a poisonous swamp, for example. All my Dark Souls fans there. Or you can add some steam. If you're in some kind of volcano area, you can see steam coming up. All kinds of cool things that you can add. It's not the only thing. You also have fire, so I could add cinders, for example, here. So now we have like smoke and cinders, so this could be a volcano area. Of course, since it's inside a building, it doesn't make sense, but you get the picture. Or we can just add fire here, so now I have fire billowing. Pretty cool, pretty cool. You can do all kinds of neat stuff. Could be a house on fire, for example. That could be a map. And then over here we have magic as well. Fireflies. If we want to add fireflies, let's add fireflies over here. These little friends. A magical fey building with fireflies all over the place. Of course, now this looks like a big old mess. Let me zoom out for you so you can properly see it. But the idea is just to show you all the different features that Dungeon Alchemist has. And again, this is very easy to use. Like, I'm not an artist. I am not a map maker or level designer or anything, and I'm able to do all of this by myself. Like I mentioned, the map I showed you in the beginning, I did it in like less than an hour, and I spent time actually tweaking what was inside those rooms so that I could think about the story that I wanted to tell with that area itself. I can also link the map actually in my description if you would like to download it for yourself to use just for fun. But okay, so now you have a map that you've done here that you're happy with. How do your players play it then? Because like I said, this is not a VTT. You can't play games with inside Dungeon Alchemist at time of recording. Well, we go to the top left corner over here. There is File. Let me zoom in once again so you can better see. And here we have Export. So saving just saves it as a Dungeon Alchemist file. You can't export that. But if you click Export, it opens a window for you. And here you have some options. So by default, it's going to give you a Foundry export. So if you use Foundry VTT, you can use this, but if you open this up, you can see there is a setting for Fantasy Grounds Unity export, Roll20, and then just a universal VTT export. Now, depending on what you want to do, there's different options here. There's also image only, so if you just want to use an image, or if you just want to have a print export, if you're planning to actually print this, or if you would like to get a video export, you can also get a video file out of this. But let's assume you have Foundry. Then the file type, this is actually going to be quite important. So JPEG is the most simple answer here. That is just a still image. But then, for example, the fire that we see here on the right-hand side, that is not going to be animated in the image. So if you want any of these elements that are here to be animated, then you're going to have to choose a video. With video, however, it gets a little bit complicated because this MP4 format is meant for smaller maps and the quality level is not going to be that high. If you want a higher quality one, there is WebM. However, it takes a very, very long time to render. We're talking about possibly hours of rendering. So I would be careful with that. Let's go with an image this time for simplicity's sake. Then the next option here is the perspective. So do you want these 3D walls? As you can see here, you can see the surface of the walls a little bit, and you can see that it has a little bit of perspective. Or you can have a more limited perspective, so you can still see the walls, not as much. Or you can have no perspective at all. It's fully top down, so now you can't see the surfaces of the walls, etc. Let's go for a perspective 3D wall this time. Then lighting wise, you can choose, do you want to render the lights in the image and the export to the VTT? It's up to you. Or only render lights in the image or only in the VTT export. So this will only work for VTTs, of course. Then you can choose the quality. I'm going to go for a very high quality. Then the grid size. So if you have the normal borders, it adds this area around the map, which can be useful for you if you are playing in a VTT and you have extra space here that you can drop stuff into and drag things from. That's up to you. If you're printing, you probably don't want that. Color-wise, you probably want to keep it in color unless you're going to print it. There is print-friendly grayscale. If you click that, it turns into grayscale, obviously. But yeah, we're going to keep it in color. And then grid, you can choose if you want to have the grid on or off. I personally prefer it to be on because grid-based movement and combat is very important in D&D, Pathfinder, and other games like it. And lastly, you can choose how transparent you want the grid to be. I personally like it to be on the stronger side just so that it's easier to read. Your mileage may vary, it's up to you, and you can choose the color of your grid. So then we just click export and it asks where you would like to save this and as what. So I'm just going to call this DA tutorial. Boom. You can see it exporting over here. It's done. It's going to open where it saved it. You're going to see that there is a JSON file and a map as well over here, actually. Here you can see the map. If I double click it, it's going to open it as an image. There we go. And map export complete. And that's it. This is how Dungeon Alchemist works on the simplest of levels. So there you have it. That's a tutorial on how to use Dungeon Alchemist. Like I said, it's available on Steam Early Access currently. Link in the description down there if you would like to buy it. It's 38 euros here in the EU region. Your price will vary depending on where you live. If you want to see how to bring that over to Foundry VTT, my last video was actually a tutorial on that, how to make a map in Dungeon Alchemist and then bring it over to Foundry VTT. Quite simple, actually. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about Dungeon Alchemist? Would you use this? I am very pro Dungeon Alchemist now. Super easy to use, super powerful, just a great tool to make fancy looking maps in a very, very quick and easy manner. And like I said, leave the comments down there, and a like and a subscribe would be appreciated at the same time as I'm trying to grow this small channel. I also stream on twitch.tv/diceandeasy. That is twitch.tv/diceandeasy. Link down there as well. And I actually showed this tool there first before I made this video. So if you want to see some, behind the scenes stuff and come chat with me, I would love to see you there. I stream every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern European Standard Time. So give me a follow over there as well. Thank you very much for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.